Oh, thank you, Cynthia, and thank you to Royal Neighbors. It is so wonderful, having been in this business for 10 years of empowering women, to meet an organization that shares your same vision. That vision is to empower women about wealth, health, and well-being. So thank you for sponsoring the event, Royal Neighbors. And a special thanks to Colleen Rafferty for organizing this and the Women's Connection, for bringing all of the audience together so that we can learn more about managing our money and saving for the future. I'm going to ask you, how many in the audience, show of hands, know how much money you need for retirement? Okay, a couple, about 20%. Thanks for being honest. The AARP just came out with a study that I read last week, and it said 62% of women do not know how much money they need for retirement. And 68 don't know what kind of budget to be on to save for retirement. Okay, when I first read this, I thought, wow, those statistics are pretty alarming. 62% really have no idea. And then I started to think about it, and everything started turning in my mind. So I'm going to ask you another question. How many of you know when you're going to die? Exactly. So if you ask me now, how much money do I know that I need for retirement? I don't know. How can we exactly know how much money we'll need for retirement unless we know when we're going to die? Retirement planning consists of 4 major things. One is how long we're going to live. I was lucky to sit with VJ. She's sitting over here, matches me in my lime green, color consultant. VJ's mother just died 2 years ago. She was 100 years old. If we live to be 100 years old, we probably need to save a little more money for retirement when we're 45 than we would if we only lived to be 65 years old. As she says, VJ says, I'm going to start working out and get healthy because I need to start saving for my long life that's ahead of me. She said her mother was only sick 1 week out of the entire time that she was in those elder years. So that's one thing. Another thing to think about with retirement is, how do we want to live our lives? That is the great thing about being at this luncheon today. You get to decide how you want to live your life. That's what retirement planning is. Retirement planning is fun because you get to sit down and say, all right, I'm this age now, and let's see, I want to see if I can retire when I'm this age, and how do I want to spend my retirement years? I personally would like to have retirement years that are a little more relaxed than I have now, but I don't personally see myself retiring. I'm the kind of person that will probably continue with my mission of empowering women and just work less. But some of you may say, I want to retire right when I hit 62. And that may be possible. So that's one thing you get to think about, and you get to decide that in your mind. The other thing is, how do you want to live your life? Do you want to get a cabin in the woods and wake up in the morning and write poetry and spend the rest of the day relaxing? That's a possibility. Or do you want to maybe do a little traveling, go up to Canada, go visit maybe your children live in Chicago, so really maybe travel the country in an RV. These are all things you get to decide. One of the most important last things to think about is, what do you think your health is going to be like? I recently had a health scare. And what it made me realize is, there may be a point soon I may not be able to work. And then how am I going to live the rest of my life? And then if this health scare followed its normal path, I might say, well, what's that quality of life going to be when I'm older? So you really need to take your health into consideration, and how long you think you'll live, how long did your relatives live, and the quality of your health. I like to look at retirement planning, retirement planning is the inconvenient truth. Because the fact is, we don't know all of these aspects. We have all these unknowns. We don't know how long we're going to live. We don't know how our health's going to be. But there's so much that we can do right now to have a best guess. So it's not about perfection. It's not about having the exact numbers. It's about having a best guess on how much you think you need for retirement based on your life goals. And that's what's fun about this. What are my life goals? This may be the first time in your life that you sit down and say, wow, I really want to do this with my life. I look at my father-in-law, who's 82. He just retired this year, 82, worked full-time until this year, 82. Now he started his own business. He is an entrepreneur at 82. And he's loving every minute of it. But that was his life goal. He loved working. He loved what he did. So he never felt the need to retire. And now, at 82, he wants to be an entrepreneur. One other fact about his life, which I think is important to consider, is he's done a lot of elder care. His mother just died at 98. Now, the great genes. My son will have great, long, living genes. 98 years old. But she did spend 20 years in a full-care, nurse-assisted nursing home. So for 20 years, he was paying, he supported her. So he paid the bill for that. And that's probably part of the reason he didn't retire at 65 versus 82. But he loved working. So he made that choice that that's how it would be. Right now in America, you don't need me to tell you this. You open the paper every single day. You see it on the news. We're in a state of financial crisis. Some people are saying, is it a recession? We don't know. We right now have a negative savings rate. I'm not sure if you know what that means, but not since the Great Depression have Americans spent more than they made. Now, the economy's not that bad. It's certainly not as bad as it was the Great Depression. Some of us have parents who were in the Great Depression or grandparents. My grandparents were and had a really tough time of it. And so we have to look at other things that are involved with the negative savings rates. It's part of the reason we have record home foreclosures. 87% more than last year, if you look up to this year. We've had 164,000 defaults in this country. My cousin told me, I was at my grandma's 85th birthday on Sunday in Dyer, Indiana. He said in Detroit that there was a 25% foreclosure rate. 25% on the homes bought in the last 8 years. I thought, wow, that's 1 in 4. And of course, we've all heard about the record bankruptcies. That's why we have new legislation. Now, what does that mean for you in the audience? Now, I got the chance to talk to a few of you. Thank you for letting me sit at your table. Some of you out there, at least 10% of you, maybe more, are very financially savvy. I know you are. It's the group of you that raised your hands that have a good sense probably of what you need for retirement. You've probably sit down with a financial advisor. You've got your goals and everything set up. This is such a call to action for you to be community leaders, for you to think about, yeah, you're right. You're right, Tiffany. I am pretty savvy when it comes to money, and I could maybe explain that more to my children or my sister or my neighbors or even in a community setting. Perhaps there's something I could do with the Women's Connection to help women understand this more. So I really invite you as this call to your action to start a money club or investment club or speak at a local community center. Start a blog. I'll link to your blog from my blog. Or, at a minimum, send me your success stories. Let me talk about how women just like you in this community have been really successful at what you've done so that others can be inspired. It's all about having a light. Having a light shining up in the sky to say, there's possibility that we can do this. One of the things that I think is great is that there's some women here that may not normally think about retirement planning. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're thinking, oh, retirement planning is for those who have a lot of money. Well, I feel very lucky that they're here today to hear this message, and maybe they'll take this message back to their community. I mean, that's one of the terrific things about being involved with the Women's Connection is you can meet others like this and have sponsors like Royal Neighbors who can bring people in from the community who may not normally be here. And all of a sudden they see the possibility. Where before it seemed, oh, pie in the sky, that's not for me. I'm going to show you how just $5 a day can help you start saving for investing. $5 a day. I'd have to say everyone here could probably, after I'm finished, find $5 a day. So let's move on. My topic is HarMoney, and I like the little play on words, HarMoney. What is HarMoney? I have a nice little somewhere over the rainbow to think about financial planning in a way where your life goals, okay, remember that's the fun part of this. What do I want out of my life? My life goals then become matched with my financial goals, not the other way around. Not that, oh, I can only live this way because this is how much money I have. It's about how do I want to live, what are my goals, and then putting a good financial plan around that so that you can achieve it. Like a symphony and splendid concert, the instruments of your life are tuned into a greater plan for living a purposeful life of wealth, health, and well-being.